let's get this straight. Here and now, yeah? Answer me question. Do you think it's okay to freeze bread?
What? I don't know. Yeah, I suppose.
I suppose. Oh, Jesus, where do I bleed and start? Bread's a convenience food. If you want the samba, the bread is there ready to rock.
Just defrost it then.
To frost it? How long will that take? I'm not.
Intrigued, genuinely intrigued, genuinely like on the edge, like engaged, engrossed is a good word. Um, on the crime of like how they're gonna get out of this, like and the stress of being a criminal, and like all the things we love about watching a crime movie, a dark crime like Tarantino, Scorsese, crime movie, and it was at once dark and crime and tension, and then also funny, genuinely funny, laugh out loud funny, and it balanced both of those very well, which is very hard because they're two ends of the spectrum. I think these two main actors carried um like nobody's business for real. Um, and then also mixing in genuine romance, genuine like when he's like talking to the girl, the neighbor girl, and like all that stuff. I was like, because it's like tension and then comedy and then romance, and it was all really blended together to make a very fun ride.
I loved how the film mixed various genres like horror, comedy, action, biofantasy. This is what I love about these kind of movies, and especially I love the setting. Like just in the middle of nowhere in the Irish countryside. The the strongest feature of the film is definitely the twist in the end, where we find out that Sadie and the mysterious woman, they are vampires, and Sadie attacks the robbers. I also loved Frankie Boy, great character, very funny, and great performance by all the cast, but especially for Frankie Boy. Really, really enjoy the character, and a special note goes to the direction and cinematography. These continuous, these long takes rather than just cut on close up, medium close up, instead of just using the camera with Steadicam. I'm guessing it was Steadicam, and just following the actors. That gives you, that drags you basically into the film, and it feels like you're actually there.
I thought this was a really interesting marriage of crime and supernatural. Was definitely pleasant and welcome surprise. That big reveal there, uh, finding out she's a vampire. I didn't see that one coming. Um, all in all, I just really liked the shape of this film. It was just filled with all the right elements to keep it interesting. Kind of leading us one way, bringing us another. Really smartly directed and really polished with the editing. The writing was also really fantastic. There's moments where there's just a lot jammed in there, but it never feels like a big dump. It really is very thoughtfully crafted that way. The cinematography is really great too. Just the lighting, the use of all those tools to really help sort of, tie the mood and tone together.
This film had a good opening sequence with Claire finding the two fellows that just pulled off the heist in the alley, and then you're left wondering what has happened with her. And she shows up later in the film, and that was a nice surprise. It's a crime feature, but it seems to be dark comedy, and it plays well. I like the point of view of being the watcher from outside the home in the evening scenes, and there's lots of spooky elements of branches and trees and things moving, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. The two female characters, Sadie and Claire, were especially strong in their roles, and they brought a lot to the film. The writing, I thought, was really good. It has a twist that's like a sci-fi thriller at the end, so that was surprising.
I really liked this film. I thought there was a great tone to it from the beginning to the end. I just thought with the music and the script and the acting and the directing and the editing and just the way everything was put together. It had a really good feel to this. It kept moving along at a good pace, but also took its time in the right moments and really had that suspenseful feel with the sounds and the music and the shadows and the different things happening. And it also had the twists and turns that to me were not predictable. I thought the focus was on the guys, and they did, the script did a really great job of not really leading you too much into what the surprises were. And so I really like that a lot. I think the character development was just spot on. The acting was really strong. Never did I think any of these people weren't in it, as far as securing their characters. I loved the call when Dancer did the call to the hospital with the girl on the other end. I thought that was hilarious and very smart writing. There was a line I wrote down that I really liked. I'm not into this kinky shit. Super funny. In the whole thing about the men not screaming line at the end, where she's like, I know you said, what was it that you said once about men not screaming? I just thought it was great. And then the scene at the end after the credits, I'm glad I watched it all the way through.
The beginning scene kind of reminds me of one of Kevin Hart's stand-up skits that he does afterwards, where he robs a bank, and it's sort of like this sort of comedic um, scene. And so the beginning of the specific film's scene kind of reminds me of that, of the sort of amateur criminality that kind of goes on. That sort of failed bank robbery attempt is comedic, and so their sort of failed attempts at kind of being bad guys is pretty interesting. I like the additional unsuspected antagonist towards the end, the female character. I think that was an interesting sort of twist, although you may have your suspicions, but it is come to light towards the end. And I also like the mystical element as well, the sort of introduction to monsters. I think that was a great inclusion.
I really liked this. I thought this was really fun. I really liked how they told the story, with starting off with, obviously a crime has been committed, but you don't 100% know the full scope of it, and you don't even find out all the players involved until you get much later into the film, which I thought was really, really fun, and just like an interesting twist, because then you slowly are trying to piece together how they all work together and like what the hierarchy is and what the dynamics are, which is really fun. And then you have these like other seemingly random characters that get thrown in, like the neighbor who something feels off about from like the very beginning, and the fact that he's just completely like unaware of it, I think is amazing. I loved that twist at the very, very end. And then you have this chief guy who eventually comes in. You have the girl that shot the guy. Like you have all these different like components that were obviously like unaccounted for and are now a part of the story. So you have to like figure out how they all work together. But under all of that, you have these guys that like just clearly cannot work together and like are not on the same page. Which I think is just really fun, because I feel like in a situation like that, if you are gonna commit any kind of crime or do anything like that, and you have that many players, like you have that many people involved, like you are bound to hit heads, like you are bound to run into issues. So I liked that they kept it like really honest and refreshing.
It was definitely unexpected in a way to get rid of the robbers. This film had quite a bit of humor in it, to break up the tension between what was going on. It could be considered a dramedy with the crime, with it being also within the crime genre, because there was quite a bit where you were laughing quite at the beginning, and then as the tension grew between the guys, between everything going on, it stopped, and the humor between them stopped as you're going. It was really well executed. And the score really impacted, where it went from lighthearted to started to get intense as they turned against each other.
Yeah, I like the lead performances, like the two criminals and the neighbor were all very interesting. I especially liked um the secondary, like, main guy. He was very entertaining and charismatic and crazy at times. Yeah, it was pretty mysterious, like one room, tense drama. And yeah, I think the twist at the end was very surprising.